On a snowy mountain where reindeer piss, grow red and white shrooms that bring spiritual bliss. Who created Christmas? Jesus or Santa? Or was it the mysterious Amanita Muscaria?
How does Santa and his reindeer magically fly through the entire world, delivering presents? If you guessed hallucinogenic mushrooms, the same one Super Mario takes to power up, you might have a point. And this isn't your classic psychedelic mushrooms like these ones. In fact, this mushroom is even more iconic. One that may have been consumed via reindeer piss, but we'll get into those details later.
And whenever the reindeer would start to urinate, they would go and collect the urine in a bucket, and they would actually boil this urine and concentrate it down further.
We've all been told that this is an incredibly toxic mushroom, but what if these were all lies?
I think ibotenic acid is hugely misrepresented.
What if this ancient deliriant is what's referred to as soma in the ancient religious texts, a powerful mushroom unlike no other that may be behind Christmas? So we'll get into the lore, debunk misconceptions, and dive into this strange, mysterious world of Amanita Muscaria mushrooms. But first, what does Christmas truly mean to you?
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Wait a minute.
What?
Aren't you Jewish, Kyle?
Yeah, I think so.
Dude, Jewish people don't celebrate Christmas.
What?
You're supposed to sing Hanukkah songs.
If you're anything like me, you're probably disconnected from the commercialization of Christmas. Packed shopping malls, people rushing and all stressed about what gifts to buy their spoiled kid. And I know I sound like a bit of a Grinch right now.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what it's always been about. Gifts. You want to know what happens to your gifts? They all come to me. In your garbage!
Man, I used to love Christmas. I remember getting a Nintendo 64 with Super Mario, Mario Kart, and Banjo-Kazooie. Dude, that was one of the greatest times of my life. But was Christmas always about buying presents?
I come seeking retribution.
He's come to kill you because you're Jewish, Kyle. Oh!
Just like many traditions, over time, it becomes a shallow husk of what it used to be. Kind of like how the deep spiritual root of yoga has turned into a Instagram flex for rich white women. Christmas used to be about transformation, spiritual reflection, winter solace, and, of course, in Christian culture, the birth of Jesus Christ. Hence, Christmas. But over time, it changed. Even Coca-Cola in the 1930s had a part to play of how Santa's modern image is portrayed in his red and white colors, closely resembling Coca-Cola's branding. Coca-Cola didn't create Santa, but it's believed to play a role popularizing and standardizing the modern image of the red and white fat man. But, and this is why we're here today, some people believe that the red and white color palette of Christmas and the pine trees and the symbolism that comes with it actually originates from the iconic fairy tale toadstool mushroom, Amanita Muscaria. Dude, think about it. Flying reindeer, literal elves helping a jolly fat man pack presents to magically fly through the night, not to mention that pine trees is the symbol of the Christmas tree. It's not far-fetched to say that this symbolism is very fairy tale-esque. Yet, it's celebrated by Christians, atheists, pagans, and even Shinto Japanese people who eat KFC for its celebration. For Christians, it's about celebrating Jesus' birthday, but in my 32 years of life, not once have I ever heard Christians sing the happy birthday song to baby Jesus.
You have blemished the meaning of Christmas for the last time, Kringle.
I bring happiness and love to children all over the world.
Christmas is for celebrating my birth.
Christmas is for giving.
I'm here to put an end to your blasphemy.
This time we finish it. There can be only one.
Look at that. They know. The reindeers used to eat the amanitas, and then the people would drink the reindeer piss.
Because there's something about, yeah, and then see the Santa Claus or see visions of stuff like that,
Flying reindeer,
Yeah.
elves. A huge thanks to Minnesota Nice Ethnobotanicals for sponsoring this video. Your go-to online store for premium quality ethnobotanical products. I'm sure you know of all these sketchy websites out there that sell dodgy or straight up false products, which can have some devastating results if you're not careful, either legally or health-wise. Which is why it's crucial to find a trusted supplier. So if you're into botanicals like lion's mane for boosting your neuroplasticity, or you want to chill out with blue lotus, or you're curious on the unique properties of Amanita Muscaria. Based in the US, Minnesota Nice Ethnobotanicals ensure fast, hassle-free delivery right to your door. Just remember to check the legal status of your country. If you're in the US or most other countries, to be frank, you're all good. But they got a lot of good stuff. Check them out. Minnesota Nice Ethnobotanicals. You can use the promo code TOM or click on the affiliate link below. But yeah, check them out. Anyways, back to the video. Much love. By the way, random Christmas fact. In some European cultures, Christmas includes Krampus, a ghastly goat-like creature who punishes naughty children. Unlike Santa's coal, Krampus is said to beat kids with sticks or drag them to hell in his sack. Jesus, mate, talk about a bad mushroom trip. Anyways, back to jolly old Christmas. There are a few hypotheses for the origin of Christmas. The most likely to be true is the Pagan Theory. Pagan winter solace festivals like Yule and Saturnalia celebrated the return of the sun with feasting, gift-giving, and lighting fires. Rituals included decorating evergreens, honoring deities like Odin, and invoking light and prosperity during the darkest days. Now, Christians during their crusade were trying to convert as many souls as possible to accept Jesus into their hearts. One effective method they used against the pagans was integrating their already established rituals and traditions by placing the Jesus stamp into it. Alright mate, you can have the pine trees, the presents, hell, we'll even throw in the flying reindeers for free. As long as you acknowledge Jesus' birthday. Done deal. Many believe that Santa Claus is a blend of folklore, history, and mythology that evolved over centuries. His origins trace back to Saint Nicholas, a 4th century Greek bishop known for secret gift-giving and kindness, particularly to children and the poor. His legend merged with pagan figures like the Norse god Odin, who was said to ride through the skies on an 8-legged horse during Yule, delivering gifts. But there's another strange theory that some historians believe to be true. Alright, here's a question for you. If a shaman elder was to pass you a glass of his warm, yellow piss, and he said if you drank it, you'd go on a spiritual quest, forever transforming your life, would you drink it? I'll have a 3, please.
Yes, it is true. Human beings have fed reindeer Amanita Muscaria to then collect the urine and then consume the urine. What it's doing is it's decarboxylating that Amanita, which is converting a lot of a certain alkaloid found within Amanita called ibotenic acid into muscimol. In regards to the whole Santa Claus being a mushroom shaman, these supposed mushroom shamans, part of their role was to consume the Amanitas for others to then consume their urine. Carboxylating of that ibotenic happens if you make a tea out of it, and or if you consume some sort of like, reindeer's urine or some Santa Claus shaman coming down your chimney to help you with your winter illnesses.
Amanita Muscaria is arguably the most iconic mushroom of all time. In this book, anyway, it mentions how the Amanitas may be the oldest entheogen known to man. Because we all know that mushrooms is the oldest psychedelic, because mushrooms predate plants, plants predate humans, etc. But what if Amanitas predate the psilocybin mushrooms? Well, we're not going to get into that today, because that's a whole other rabbit hole. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of the red and white toadstool Amanita mushroom present in a lot of fairy tale lore. Why? You tell me, mate. Amanita Muscaria is also the most aesthetically pleasing and straight up most beautiful mushroom. Amanitas are commonly linked to fairy tales, gnomes, elves, pine trees, winter wonderlands, and Super Mario, but it also ties into ancient culture. Vikings allegedly munched on these mushrooms right before going berserk mode, swinging axes into their enemies' faces. In eastern Siberia, shamans and even normies would take amanitas and go on spiritual journeys. The shaman would eat the mushroom, empty his apple juice into a ceremonial cup, I imagine, and the lay people would swallow his urine. Hang on, wait, why do we have to drink your piss again? Don't worry about it, mate, it's for spiritual purposes. It's said that the reason for drinking Amanita piss is for converting the neurotoxin ibotenic acid into muscimol, the active ingredient that makes you trip. But what's without a doubt true is reindeers really do go out of their way to eat this magical toadstool mushroom. And yes, they do get high and act strange, which is part of where the theory comes from on how humans observed reindeers and gave the mushroom a shot by drinking the animal piss. I would imagine that a lot of people would have eaten this mushroom. They would have gotten sick, shat their pants and puked or something. And they would have been like, dude, this sucks. How come this reindeer's eating this mushroom? No problems. He looks like he's having a good time. And I don't know, maybe someone thought of it through logic or a dream or just a guess, like, how about we drink the reindeer piss? And everyone's like, you do it. Alright. And they drink it, and then it's like, dude, yeah? Dude. And then they're all chugging reindeer apple juice and having a good time. Allegedly. Amanita Science. Even though deaths on Amanita Muscaria are extremely rare, it has allegedly happened due to the toxicity levels of ibotenic acid, especially when not prepared properly. So don't just go out there and munch on these mushrooms. And of course, for YouTube community guidelines, if you want to know how to prepare it properly, just do a simple search on Dr. Google.
It's really interesting because it does seem to be the most iconic, famous, recognizable mushroom in the entire world, yet most people don't know what it actually is or what it actually does, what alkaloids it contains, what receptor sites it's playing on, but they have this association with it in their mind that it is toxic and or poisonous. And I truly believe that a lot of this comes down to propaganda, and it's for the reasons that I'm about to lay out for you here. But I would say that Amanita muscaria and ibotenic acid is no more dangerous or toxic than, like chicken breast. Like I said, it's how you prepare it. Usually, almost all of the scare stories that have come from Amanita muscaria have come from people taking very irresponsibly large doses, bad setting, without preparing it correctly. Another big part of why people say ibotenic acid is toxic or dangerous is due to like one study, like the only study really that's been done on ibotenic acid, where they took it and they injected it into the brains of mice and it caused brain lesions. And they're like, oh, look, ibotenic acid causes brain lesions. But like, it was a really very flawed study, because if you were to do this with any drug, if you were to have done this with aspirin, it would have like killed the mice. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a good representation of what's happening to us when we take ibotenic. And I'm not saying all this because I think that it's devoid of any sort of danger, but I think it's a lot safer than what we have been programmed to believe.
Some would say that these dangers are over-exaggerated, but we've got to be cautious nonetheless. Nausea is quite common, and amanitas are classified as a poison in some countries.
Amanita muscaria contains a muscarinic compound called muscimol.
Yeah.
And this has been used for thousands of years, this mushroom. Has quite a large vulva underneath. It is pure white on the gills. The cap is red, and the cap commonly has little white dots all over it. It has a very pronounced annulus, and that's where the cap was once joined to this. This is not a magic mushroom per se. Muscimol affects the GABA center of the brain, so the same area that's affected by benzodiazepines such as Xanax and alcohol, Valium, all of those compounds are GABAergic compounds. There's a compound in the mushroom when it's fresh called ibotenic acid. And the ibotenic acid breaks down into your muscimol. And if you eat this fresh, you'll usually get a little bit sick. But the biggest mistake that people make when they're looking at this mushroom is they believe that it's poisonous. I can eat this mushroom fresh right now, but I'll likely get quite nauseous and get the runs from doing so. So you need to dry the mushroom out and look at how to prepare it. But this is a psychoactive mushroom that is also found in the pines. The high dose experience is not very pleasant. It's very much like a drunken, dreamy state, and it's not very fun. But in low doses, this induces a very relaxed state and very deep restorative sleep. I wouldn't recommend that anyone takes this in really large doses, but this is used by many North American tribes. It's used from shamans throughout Siberia, and this was used by a lot of people like the Vikings in that. Some people believe that this mushroom was actually soma.
And of course, in some countries it's a grey area, others it's completely legal, but there are a few like our great nation of Australia who cares about our health and safety, to ban these straight up. Not to mention alcohol's a neurotoxin, but whatever. Even though amanitas or fly agaric mushrooms are the most iconic, they don't contain any psilocybin. Instead, they contain completely different compounds like muscimol and ibotenic acid, which we've mentioned earlier. Traditional psychedelic mushrooms work on the serotonin receptors, whereas amanitas interact with the GABA receptors. Naturally, GABA is a chemical that steps in when your brain becomes too stressed or anxious by slowing things down. It comes in like, dude, chill out. Amanitas may go a little overboard and slow things down too much where you feel sleepy and or dreamy, but also might cause confusion or weird perceptions. According to one study, quote, muscarine and muscimol hold promise for therapy of neurodegenerative disorders associated with cognitive decline. Oh, by the way, amanitas are also known as fly agaric, a name derived from an old practice of attracting and killing flies. Amanitas have plenty of cousins that are straight up deadly, like the Amanita phalloides, aka the death cap. Amanitas are considered deliriants rather than a psychedelic, since they act on different brain receptors compared to psilocybin, and produce more ethereal, dreamlike, and sedative states. But they can also cause dysphoria, sweating, puking, pooping, and even psychosis if the ibotenic acid is not decarboxylated properly. But remember that this isn't everybody's cup of tea. Amanita Muscaria's psychoactive effects manifest much differently than magic mushrooms. People who ingest Amanita Muscaria often fall into a deep sleep, with visions and insights commonly occurring in dreams. Some describe the effects as similar to alcohol intoxication, which makes sense since alcohol also interacts with the GABA receptors in the brain.
The higher doses seem to have this very heavy dissociative, slightly deliriant type of effect that usually leads into some sort of very deep sleep. Like you end up falling asleep, and usually within this sleep there's very extremely vivid dreams had. I would say at every level of the scale, microdose up to macrodose, it seems to be a dream enhancer. There's this feeling that human beings have been interacting with this certain space for a very long period of time.
I think I learned something today. It doesn't matter if you're Christian or Jewish or atheist or Hindu. Christmas still is about one very important thing.
Yeah, ham. No, not ham, you fat fuck! Fuck you!
Christmas is about something much more important. What? Presents. Don't you see, Kyle? Yeah, presents.
Hey, man, if you're Jewish, you get presents for 8 days.
Wow, really? Count me in.
Yeah, I'll be a Jew, too.
Dreidel, 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 I made you out of clay.
Although Amanita Muscaria may be overshadowed by its popular cousin psilocybin, its influence on modern culture is undeniable. Even in today's world where its use is more niche, some cultures still rely on this mushroom for spiritual connection. We live in a world drowning in consumerism and distraction. It's easy to get lost in the noise and forget why we do things. And I get sucked into this dopamine fiend consumerism culture as well. I'm not immune to it. But this Christmas, give yourself the present of presents. Go for a walk in nature. Sit in silence. Reconnect to your core truths, your higher self. Am I being a bit of a shit cunt? How can I improve that? The real magic of Christmas is reconnecting with yourself and the world around you. I know, bloody cheesy ending, but it's Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody.